Hi, I'm Johnny Flickinger, and this is my Jackass Forever review. I wish I had someone to kick me in the nuts right now. That would have made for a way better intro. I'll just hit myself in the head with this instead. Now here's what I really thought of Jackass Forever, and first of all, congrats to this movie for making almost $50 million at the box office so far. It just goes to show you that audiences still just want to let go sometimes and watch dudes get stung in their genitals by bees. Or at least I know I do. And that, folks, is what you call cinema. And that's the plot to this movie. There isn't one, and that's why people like it. When it comes to Jackass, this show was my life in the early 2000s. Not only did I watch it, I lived it and I breathed it. Now here's a quick backstory about myself, maybe you never knew this, but back in the early 2000s, long before the days of YouTube, I had a knockoff Jackass show called Losers, and my plan was to air this show on public access. It was my first introduction to a video camera and picking it up and recording anything. This is what I decided to record. Now unfortunately, I don't have a ton of this footage remaining anymore because I lost a lot of it, and I also think my mom sold the majority of it at a garage sale accidentally when she thought it was VHS copies of another movie. Either way, if you bought that, I hope the footage didn't frighten you too much, because one of those clips included myself lighting my friend's shoes on fire and then 7 other of my friends urinating on them to put them out. That's what we did for a good time on a Friday night. Did anyone else do stuff like that? Okay. And here's one last clip of myself being pushed in a shopping cart by one of my best friends into some bushes. And by the way, if you're ever having a bad day and life is just getting the best of you, I highly recommend doing this. Push yourself at high velocity speeds in a shopping cart into some bushes. It'll instantly make you feel better about who you are and what you're doing in life. And real quick, before we continue on talking about Jackass Forever and getting kicked in the nuts, I first want to give a quick mention to the sponsor of this video, because maybe you're into YouTube videos or making videos or short films and you want to make those better. Well, check out the sponsor of this video. I'll be right back. Big thanks to Skillshare for sponsoring this video. Skillshare is an online learning community with thousands of online classes and members across 150 countries who come together to find inspiration and take the next step in their creative journey. One thing you should know about me is when it comes to learning new things, I sort of become addicted, especially when it's new things I care about, such as graphic design, video editing, audio editing, and anything to do with improving my YouTube videos. Because when it comes to improving my YouTube videos, the audio, the video quality, I'm never satisfied, so I'm always trying to learn the newest ways to do things and make them better. And in 2022, that is my goal, to make the best possible YouTube videos I can. And that's why I like Skillshare, because you can take classes on cinematography, video editing, graphic design, and audio editing. I know a lot of you watching right now are aspiring filmmakers or YouTubers, and if you can learn a skill set that improves what you're doing, why not? One class I took was called DIY Cinematography, Make Your Video Look Like a Movie by Ryan Booth. I recommend it. There's new premium classes launched every week, and the best part is, the first 1,000 people who use this link will get a 1-month free trial of Skillshare. Yeah, it's a free 1-month trial to check it out. It's like, why not? And once again, that link is down below. Check it out, guys. As always, thanks for watching. Let's get back to the video. Alright, let's get back to Jackass Forever. By the way, I hope you enjoyed those clips. I just wanted an excuse to show those to you. But when it comes to Jackass, to sum it up, I loved this show. I lived it. And before Jackass ever existed, there was something called CKY. It was a video series released by Bam Margera, who unfortunately wasn't back this time around for the new Jackass flick because he had some personal issues, some sobriety issues, and also there was some litigation going on. Nevertheless, it was a huge mess, but I was super disappointed he didn't return once again, because Bam Margera has always been my favorite cast member of Jackass. And once again, long before Jackass, Bam Margera was making CKY videos, which were sort of like the more rated R version of Jackass. And if you watch the first season of Jackass on MTV, a majority of those clips that they use are actually CKY footage. Jackass Forever returns once again after 12 years, and it's more or less the same gags you've seen before. When it comes to Jackass films, they don't really have a plot. It's a whole bunch of dudes hanging out, having a good time, smearing honey on their genitals, and being stung by bees. And if you like those kinds of things, well, you'll probably like the Jackass movies. But for me, something was missing this time around. I still overall really enjoy the experience of watching it. Like I said, it's the same stuff we've seen before, but I feel like it was better the first few times we've seen it over the years, because this time around we're missing a few cast members, and it just felt like something in that camaraderie was missing for me. And if you're a hardcore fan, maybe you picked up on it. If you're just a casual lover of the Jackass show and you just wanted to see pranks and gags happening with Johnny Knoxville, you probably enjoyed this movie, but as a hardcore fanatic, and maybe that's the issue here, it just felt like something was empty, something was hollow, and I could just feel this void when watching this movie. And maybe I'm overthinking it, but here's why. I went back recently and rewatched the first few Jackass movies, and there's something raw and gritty and just visceral about those films. They don't feel overly produced. It looked like they were just handed a video camera and said, go for it. Whatever happens will happen. And that's what made those movies so great. But in Jackass Forever, at times it feels like it's overly produced and they're pulling their punches. And I understand at this point in life, why jump out of a building on fire and almost kill yourself when you don't have to? I get that. And that's not to say that there wasn't danger in this film. At one point, Johnny Knoxville gets in a fight with a bull, and by a fight, I mean it rams him, flips him up over his head 5 times, and he lands and has permanent brain damage at this point. But last time I checked, he was doing okay. But not to say there wasn't danger in this movie. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that raw, visceral sense of camaraderie that I found in the previous films, in the TV series, and the CKY shows, it feels like it's missing this time around. Because like I said, a few key cast members are missing from this film. You had Ryan Dunn, who passed away years ago in a car accident. Bam Margera's having some personal issues. And what they did is they replaced them with some new guys that do some stunts. They're funny, I'm sure they're likable, but I'm not familiar with them. So I don't really have like that personal bond relationship. I guess it's just funnier when you see people you know get hurt. I guess that's the point of what I'm getting at here. For me, it just felt like a little bit of the heart of what made Jackass so great was slightly missing this time around. But I still found the movie entertaining, but it felt like it was missing something. And hey, maybe that's just me, or maybe you do feel the same way. But what I would say is go back and watch those first few Jackass movies or the series before watching this movie or after watching this movie. And those original movies are just on a different level than this one. And I still remember sneaking into the movie theater because it was rated R and they wouldn't let us in, so we had to buy tickets to another movie and sneak in the first Jackass film. I remember that opening scene in the first film where they're all in the shopping cart and the epic music's playing and they're flying down the road. It gave me chills. And I still love it. It's one of my favorite openings to any of the Jackass films. But that's not to say the opening of Jackass Forever isn't highly entertaining. Yeah, essentially the opening to Jackass Forever is just one big dick joke that costs $3 million to make. Keep that in mind if you've seen the movie or if you're going to see it. That opening sequence costs $3 million to make. It was awesome. Now here are my final flicking thoughts on Jackass Forever. Like I've said, overall, I did enjoy this movie, but it just felt like something was missing, and more or less, it was the same stuff we've already seen in 3 previous films and the TV series, but I feel like those previous times, it was better, more visceral, and the first time you see something, it typically is more funny. But it was a nice reunion once again to see these guys come back, and I'm glad we got the movie. Because in an odd way, it felt like this film came out at a perfect time where audiences just needed something like this. Something to let go with a little bit of levity, and what is that levity? Well, it's watching guys hurt themselves, getting bit in the nipples with crocodiles, and smearing honey on their genitals. And that's what life is, everyone. And also, when I was watching Jackass Forever, I thought there were more moments where they could have included some nostalgic moments, maybe reference the past, or maybe how Jackass came to be. Just a little more heart and nostalgia would have been nice this time around, because once again, this is sort of like a reunion movie where you come back once again to see your old friends. But with all that said, I still enjoy watching Chris Pontius dance around in a G-string as Party Boy, or Johnny Knoxville being shot out of a cannon. I still enjoy watching those things. And in a weird way, I think the thing I most enjoy about Jackass overall is it feels like friends you've never met doing funny things. And that's what I like most about it. So when you remove a few friends from that equation, it takes a little bit something out of it. And that's how I felt about Jackass Forever. Something was missing, and it just didn't quite feel the same, but it tried its hardest. But hey, if they keep making Jackass movies, I'll be there opening day. If they go to Jackass number 25 in another 45 years, I'll be there, in a wheelchair, decrepit and old, but I'll be there opening day. So here's my rating for Jackass Forever. It's probably one of the Jackass films I would never go back and rewatch again, but I still love the first few Jackass movies, and I love watching the old clips of Jackass or CKY on YouTube. I find myself doing that on rainy nights. And real quick before I go, if you haven't already, check out my review for Moonfall. That's one of the worst movies I've ever seen that cost $150 million to make, and it's only made $10 million. But Jackass Forever, it only cost $10 million to make, and it's made $50 million so far. But yeah, go watch that video. So if you've seen Jackass Forever, let me know what you think about it down below, or let me know what your favorite Jackass skit of all time is. As always, guys, thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe. That way I can see you next time, and make sure you don't try this at home. Take care.